So back to the big story today, the big money, 9.6 billion US dollars. The P&ID case, Nigeria is appealing that. Let's get to the initial thoughts on this day as Nigeria makes its defense known that this judgment is that the case of P&ID against Nigeria was fraudulent and illegal. What is the learning curve here for Nigeria in the area of integrity, transparency, the law of contract, and ensuring that we're efficient when we're putting pen to paper when it comes to contractual obligations? It's a two-part conversation, but we're going to get the initial thoughts from Paul Alaje, who is a senior economist at SPA Professionals. Is live to us from our Abuja studios. Good morning, Paul. Quickly, what are your initial thoughts on what you've heard or what we've known over the last few days? The central bank governor says we cannot afford to pay this money. Nigeria will pursue this. This is fraudulent. This is a scam. Mr. President spoke at the United Nations General Assembly. He called the global attention to international corporations who want to fleece the country. The Attorney General Malami also used the same soundbite, saying if there is a way, Nigeria will pursue this to the highest court in the UK, and if possible, all the way to heaven.
Thank you so much for having me, and good morning. I truly support the argument by the CBN governor and, of course, with the Attorney General of the country. Of course, due diligence was not done in signing this contract paper. If a contract paper was, if the document were to be signed properly in the first instance. But you see, when we talk about $9.6 billion, we are talking of about 40% of national debt, which is a lot, about 40% of what we owe. The implication is that if Nigeria should take that out, I'm afraid the situation with which this economy will be, about 40%, I beg your pardon, of 2019 budget presented. It's a lot of money. So a lot of things for us to learn as a country. One of the things to learn is going forward, if there is any contract to be signed that has to do with Nigerian people or that has to do with the oil in Nigeria, it has to be in public domain. There should be there should be access and continuity.
Paul, just a quick one there. We'll get to the second part of this was the learning curve. But where we are at the moment, in terms of the defense that we want to push forward, do you think we have a good case based on what we know, what's already out there in public domain, and how this case had rattled the Nigerian government and now making a difference and sending a team all the way to London? Some of the news we're hearing is that whatever happens, they will also go to New York, also trying to look at options and talk to investment banks, talk to those who are holding Nigerian assets, and look at the possibilities. If P&ID has to enforce, if the court says, P&ID, go ahead and enforce this judgment, do you think we stand a chance to overturn it?
I think Nigeria stand a chance. I think Nigeria stand a chance because there was no contract in the first instance based on the presentation of P&ID and what Nigerian court has said regarding this situation. It has said that there was pretense, there was falsehood in the presentation of P&ID. And I strongly believe that the best of Nigerian lawyers and those that will defend Nigeria will do their best for the love of country. I don't think it would be fair on Nigeria to be ripped off $9.6 billion US when the people or the country and those who represented them here had agreed that they were guilty. They've pleaded guilty in Nigerian court. So the basis for which they want to fine Nigeria is falsehood. I am very hopeful that Nigeria will not need to pay. And if Nigeria will need to pay anything, it cannot be 9.6 billion. I believe negotiation, like CBN governor had mentioned, is going on with P&ID. Nigeria also, the court has also said Nigeria should nationalize all assets belonging to P&ID. And EFCC has revealed a mass withdrawal of monies from the accounts of P&ID. All of these were against Nigerian law. The issue of tax evasion has also been mentioned. These are very serious offenses, not just in Nigeria, but anywhere in the world. It might be that Nigeria did not have enough defense when this matter went on in the UK court. But now it's in public domain. Now it affects Nigeria. Now we're talking about equivalent of 3-4 universities to be built if Nigeria is to construct new ones. I strongly believe that Nigeria will win this case, and I remain hopeful about it.
Let's now get to the nitty-gritty of what you call the back end of this issue. This is how messy it can get when it comes to Nigeria signing contracts. So if we go down the memory lane and we look at our landscape and you look at a multi-billion-dollar project like Ajaokuta, how did we get into such messy situations that we can't get the Ajaokuta up and running? We find it difficult to get out of the case with Rusal. We went to court, then we went for out-of-court settlement, and even now we still can't get our bearings right between the executive branch and the National Assembly on how to get Ajaokuta up and running. How did you think we often walk into very messy contractual obligations that gets the country burnt, such as this?
Yeah, thank you once again. I think most of the time what officials have done is to hear or to see what seems good without consulting professionals in similar sector to help them analyze and also look into a document before the sign or the term of contract. Most of the time what we see is perhaps what goes to individual, quote and unquote, who is signing the agreement on behalf of Nigeria. And when what is coming to them seems good, perhaps they assume it will be good for the entire country. What I have noticed over the years, using Ajaokuta as example, and from information we are gathering for P&ID, is that some persons who have represented Nigeria have not done the due diligence. They might not have even understood what they are signing Nigeria into. My recommendation will be, before signing any contract that has to do with Nigeria and Nigerian people, we need to get our best to look at it. We need to get our best to study it before we sign away our birthright.
Okay, good, great, Paul. So we need to get our best to look into those contractual documents. But that, what you just said, brings into question the quality and integrity of the men and women that we have in charge of our affairs at very critical governance level. We're talking about the civil service here, the PAMSECs, the directors, the director generals of agencies and what have you. Do you think this particular P&ID case, and if you look at Ajaokuta, we look at how messy we went into the arrangement with Peugeot, with Australia, Nigeria, with Volkswagen, for example. We've had a lot of messy deals over the years. Even the Paris Club, monies that we owed that Obasanjo's administration cleared up. It was such, yes, well, there were over-deductions. So we even over-deducted our own state government in repaying the Paris Club. Now we're paying that back. Now, this really brings to the core that, look, do we really have folks who are competent, who are transparent, in charge of running the affairs of this country at the level of governance, at the level of civil service, the public officials who are in charge of the country's commonwealth?
I think we have some of them, but I think they are really very few. From my experience with several public offices, I think we have them, but I will tell you that they are less than 20% from personal experience. They are there, but they are not much. Some of them are getting promoted to directorship now. But the question is, many Nigerians watching us right now, those who are young or relatively in their middle ages, who have integrity, when you ask them to join some public offices, I can bet with you the answer will be no. I had an interaction with some German representatives in Nigeria, and they were speaking with some of the brightest Nigeria, about 100 of them are selected from different parts of Nigeria. The question they asked was, if we ask all of you to join civil service today, and we are willing to talk to the governors of your state to join civil service, these are guys doing well in private sector. How many of you would love to join civil defense, for instance? How many of you would love to join? They mentioned several parastatals and agencies of government. The truth is, only less than 10% hands went up. Why? Because they are afraid they might be infected with quote and unquote civil service syndrome. The truth is that I don't want to mention names so it doesn't sound patronizing. There are some agencies of government that are doing really well and they are performing really well. And I only hope that we have more of these agencies. The truth is, when it comes to signing contracts, when you see bad contracts, when the people that are there are doing it as, oh, this is just signing paper and moving forward, moving to the next stage. We've also heard stories of some representative who traveled out of the country, particularly to same UK, to represent Nigeria, and the document are signed within the hotel rooms and without even having access to what they just signed, that they will bring the document back to Nigeria. Only God knows when Nigeria will have its own copy. It's really messy, it's really bad, the situation we find ourselves in the country, particularly when it comes to signing a contract with international conglomerates or international organizations who have chosen to do business in Nigeria. The big deal here is that it will have negative impact if it's not well handled on Nigeria's ease of doing business, particularly when it comes to foreign direct investment into the country. And I hope that Nigerian best, whether paid or unpaid, will try to reverse and keep the reputation of Nigeria intact as it affects P&ID in the coming period.
Yes, thank you. And you just touched on what you call reputation. Reputation is key when we're talking about investment. We're talking about multi-billion dollar. You just signed with the Siemens of Germany in the power sector. We're asking the automobile companies to come back and set up shop here in Nigeria. We're signing new contracts in the oil and gas as well. How did we allow this very small, a very minute company? We have our NLNG, for example, dozens of billions of dollars, doing very well. But how did we allow such a $800 million contract or company mess up the country so well that we're now facing $10 billion in damages, as it were?
Now, first is competence. The other one will be corruption. When you see someone who is not competent and is corrupt, you are seeing disaster about to happen. This is the disaster we are seeing that is about to happen. If people have done due diligence and the love of country have been put forward beyond personal greed and personal aggrandizement, you perhaps would not have witnessed what we have. In the words of CBN Governor, those who signed the contract have not put Nigeria interest in their heart. He's an authority, he's someone that I expect to know, and he has demonstrated leadership. Even with his statement that those who sign on our behalf have not demonstrated, interest of Nigeria at heart. And I hope that the respective agencies of government that are supposed to ask questions from them, we ask questions in the coming period, if the questions have not been asked at all. So what we see most of the time is those who hold offices, either they are politicians or appointed individuals by politicians, they see it as their turn. They go to their villages, they have wealth, display wealth before the people that they cannot defend. We witnessed something like that, I think, last year or 2 years ago, when we saw a community that turned to a mini DMB with dollars. But if you look at the house itself on the outside is dysfunctional. The house is not good. It's not a good structure. But the entire community, from what I saw from the cameras of several national television, it's a place where you can describe as the base of poverty. But what you have there is a save of US dollars as recovered under the whistleblowers policy discovered by, EFCC and Ministry of Finance together. When greed goes before a people, what you see is disaster. And that's what Nigeria is faced with. I only hope that we'll be able to correct this in the coming period.
Two questions within the remaining minutes, and the first one is this. How quickly do you think Nigeria should bring those who are involved for this P&ID case to justice? And how strong do you think the measures against them, the weight of justice, the rule of law, should be brought down on them?
This is my position regarding how quickly. I think it should be done as quick as possible, as soon as possible, so that it serves as deterrent to others who are signing contracts who are representing Nigeria. It's a trust we have invested in them, and if they would not like to do that, and it will be for selfish interest, I think government and authorities, we need to do something about it. And what should be the weight, the highest possible ever? You know the reason? The reason is because $9.6 billion is equivalent of what can build, at least in, say, in the north, it could build for us Standard University, and in the south, it could build Standards University. In 6 geopolitical zones, you can have at least two each, say, secondary health facility. If it's not tertiary health facility, you can have that to the higher level.
Paul, a quick one here. One of those accused in this case just secured a 10 million naira bail in a case of 9.6 billion US dollars. So, how do you rate that? Now you're looking at 9.6 billion. China is just about to commission a Starfish Airport, 11 billion US dollars, the biggest on planet Earth. We're talking about 90% of this money that Nigeria faces today in London, and someone is getting a 10 million naira bail in such a case. How does that stack up to you?
It leaves me with a lot of worries with Nigerian judiciary and Nigerian legal system, because it's what the system says that the judge will base his ruling on. The legal system in Nigeria is really worrisome. I think lawyers, who are perhaps some of the brightest we have in the country, they need to do something. The public, particularly those of us who are not legal luminaries, we shouldn't be looking at them and be worried upon all the knowledge, all the ideas. Lawyers have conference every year. They need to have questions. The sector there is need for overall in Nigerian legal system. We cannot be looking at, you see, the Burj Khalifa was built to $1.5 billion. Don't even go to China, what China is building. Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, is $1.5 billion. We are talking about 9.6. The environment of Burj Khalifa, including the dancing fountain, is less than $1 billion US. That is what a lot of people travel to. It's a tourist attraction, tourist centers, where a lot of people go to United Arab Emirates, particularly in the city of Dubai, to go see what people have put together. We are saying that in the case of $9.6 billion, somebody is getting 10 million naira worth of bail. It's worrisome, it's disturbing, and it's also nauseating at the same time.
A final one. How do you think we can achieve an open, transparent governance system? In about 10 minutes. Can you put that together?
Yeah, I've said that before. We will have to use electronic system of filing in our public life. Electronic system. It starts with bidding. If an individual wants to bid, instead of calling all the media houses to say, let's open, put it online, put it on the internet. With the internet, I can download an app called Bidding. I can look at what every other person has bidded. I can see documents that are there, what is not there. If government is signing contract, internet don't lie. Internet is always aware. It's not a human being whose memory, after some time or when it's late, the memory is not that active as it used to be. But when the information are available online and government makes it public, everybody can go there and look for information, search for information, and ask questions, and we know who signed what, when, and how. It's a public document. It should be in the public domain. We really don't need to write to have access to it, apart from things that have to do with security of the people and things that are classified with the government. Those may not be readily available for us, but because of the situation we had now as a people, we need to make it open, we need to be transparent, and we need to preach that in all our public lives.
Paul Alaje, Senior Economist at SPA Professionals, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight and perspectives on this very historic case today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.